You know, for our entire existence, we've basically seen ultraviolet light as the enemy, right? Something to slap on sunscreen for and hide from. But what if we've been looking at it all wrong? Today, we're diving into a project from AVERIIC Systems that is completely flipping that idea on its head. They want to turn this thing we see as a threat into a tool to actually engineer human resilience. And this quote from the founder, Jonathan M. Kayomba, really gets to the heart of it. This idea that we don't just wait for the future, we actively build it. That's the engine behind everything we're about to explore. It's about taking control. So let's get into the big question here, the one that drives this whole project. For pretty much all of history, UV light has been this random, chaotic, and often damaging force. But what if we could tame it? What if we could turn that randomness, that environmental noise, into a very specific, very precise set of instructions for our own cells? Okay, so how in the world do you turn light into a biological signal? Well, the blueprint for this system comes from a pretty surprising place: alchemy. Now, we're not talking about magic or turning lead into gold. We're talking about its methodical, phased process, using it as a powerful metaphor for a completely scientific method of, well, biological transmutation. So, what is this biological transmutation? To put it simply, it's all about making our skin fundamentally better, stronger. The system uses these incredibly controlled pulses of specific light to guide our own body through a process of purification and renewal, leaving it way more resilient than it was before. All right, let's break down how this actually works. The entire process, this whole conditioning system, is built on three really distinct photonic phases. Each one uses a totally unique wavelength of light to do a very specific job. And these phases are actually named after the classic stages of the alchemical great work. It starts with nigredo, which means the blackening or purification. Then you have albedo, the whitening, which is all about stimulation. And it all culminates in rubedo, the reddening, which represents the final, perfected, and stable state. And this is where you can see the hard science behind that alchemical metaphor. It's brilliant. In that first phase, nigredo, 222 nanometer far UVC light just purifies the surface. Then, in albedo, 272 nanometer UVC light gently, and I mean gently, pokes your DNA's repair systems, basically telling them to wake up and get ready for action. And finally, the rubedo phase uses 311 nanometer narrowband UVB to tell your skin to build its own natural protective shield of melanin. Okay, that all sounds pretty incredible, but I know what you're thinking. We just talked about using UVC light, the kind we've always been told is extremely dangerous. So how can this possibly be safe? Well, the answer comes down to one word: precision. Here's the fundamental difference, okay? Think of the sun as brute force. It's just a chaotic blast of all kinds of energy that causes damage. The AVERIIC system, on the other hand, is like a surgeon's scalpel. It's not hot. It uses these specific, cold pulses of light to send a very precise signal that tells your body to repair itself, not to burn. And this safety isn't just one thing. It's built on layers of really clever engineering. For starters, the far UVC light in phase 1 can't even get through the dead outer layer of your skin. The system also uses these cold pulses that are just too fast to cause any heat buildup. It even uses a chaotic, unpredictable pulse pattern, so your cells stay responsive without needing a high dose. And on top of all of that, a real-time sensor is constantly monitoring everything, acting like an intelligent kill switch to make sure the dose is never, ever too high. So just how effective is that first layer of safety? Get this. During that purification phase, because of the specific properties of 222 nanometer light, over 99% of its energy is absorbed by proteins in the dead, outermost layer of your skin. It never even gets a chance to reach the DNA in your living cells. Now, this whole technology isn't just some fascinating idea stuck in a lab. It has a very clear path forward. AVERIIC has actually mapped out a future where this system could completely transform human health, not just here on Earth, but as we start pushing out into space. And this vision is frankly incredibly ambitious. The roadmap kicks off in about 10 years, with this becoming standard procedure for, say, high-altitude pilots or the very first colonist on the moon. Fast forward to 20 years, and it could be built right into the lighting of Martian habitats. And by 2055, we could be looking at a bio-integrated photonic skin that actively repairs damage with light in real time. And for space exploration, this is a potential game changer. I mean, astronauts face some serious health issues out there, like their skin actually getting thinner. This system could directly counteract that by using phase 3 to thicken and reinforce the skin, creating a natural bioshield against that harsh radiation you find beyond Earth's atmosphere. So, when you boil it all down, what AVERIIC Systems is proposing is a total paradigm shift. They're basically saying that light isn't just energy, it's a language. And if we can learn to speak that language, we can communicate directly with our own biology, building the kind of resilience we need to not just survive, but to thrive wherever we decide to go next. The only real question is, are we ready to start that conversation?